Art can be intimidating, but one of the best ways to get into a new medium or hobby and stick with it is to have a dedicated space to work in. But let's face it, we don't all have an extra room or attic or basement to turn into a studio. Most of us are renting what we can afford, and we don't have a lot of extra space to work with. In this video, I'm going to show you that even with limited space and money, you can make yourself a studio that is fun and inspiring to work in today. For those of you who are new here, I'm Nish. I'm a professional oil painter, miniature sculptor, and just general maker of things. And I need my studio to do a lot of things, but I don't have a lot of space or a lot of money. Just a fair warning, this is not going to be a home makeover show where I spend thousands of dollars to create a perfectly aesthetic art studio. No, we are going to use what we already have or what we can get for dirt cheap to create a functional studio that we can start working in today. But at the same time, we want this to be a space that is fun to work in, so we're going to make it our own. This will involve no construction, be renter friendly, though I am using a lot of thumbtacks, so I may need to fill some holes when I leave. First things first, we need a small, unlikely place to turn into our studio. So let me introduce you to my front hall. If you've seen my videos, this might look familiar because this is where I work. Because landlords, I had a shitty old fridge and it broke, and in order to get the new one into the apartment, I had to take out all of my stuff, and I'm not mad at all. But since I had to remove all of my stuff anyway, I thought I would take this opportunity to show you how I set up my studio in this odd space, and also take this as a chance to reorganize everything because my studio was a bit of a mess. Picture your perfect art studio, the tools, the aesthetic, the size. Now I want you to hold on to that idea, but put it away and accept that that's not what we're making right now. My dream workshop would be a chaotic mess. Everything would be covered in paint. There would be tools all around me. The walls would be covered in art, doll heads and puppets, kind of a cross between Adam Savage's cave and a serial killer's lair. Now, taking that idea, I want to break down what aspects of that dream are actually achievable right now. I want my tools to be easily accessible, I want it to be a space where I feel comfortable making a mess, and I want to be surrounded by weird things that inspire me that might be a little bit creepy. That is achievable. Before we get too far, I want to make one thing clear. A great studio will not make you a better artist. A studio can inspire you to make more, tools can help you work more efficiently and move faster, but it will not make you a better artist. Think of your favorite maker. They probably have an awesome studio, but I guarantee they could make do with the space that you have and still make awesome art. Just as working in their space would not make you better. In fact, I think you're better off with a makeshift studio that you designed yourself because it's custom made for you. A studio should feel like you have an extra set of arms. It should be an extension of your body and your creative practice. And just as an artist is never done improving their craft, a studio is never truly finished. You will inevitably change things as you grow and change as an artist. The space will never be perfect, so take that as an excuse to actually do this. We are not trying to make the perfect art studio, we are trying to make studio version 1, or if you've been at this for a while, maybe it's studio version 100. I've worked as an artist for many years in many different spaces, and let me tell you, the space can make a huge difference when it comes to inspiration. One of the best ways to encourage your creativity is to remove any barriers getting in the way of you making art. One of those main barriers is having to physically take out your materials. I know this sounds dumb, but I feel like we've all been there where, let's say we want to paint, but your paints are in a drawer, your canvases are maybe somewhere else. You might think to yourself, I'll just paint another day. That is exactly what a dedicated art space is for. If your paints are out, ready to go, you are so much more likely to actually start painting. I've got a decent space to work with here in the front hall, but I've seen people make studios out of much less. I've seen people set up desks in their closet, or work under a loft bed, or section off a corner of their bedroom with a shelf. You don't need much space to make a functional studio. In fact, I think all you really need is a desk. I've got this desk from my childhood home. It is definitely not ideal. There are a lot of things I would change about it, but one of the things I wouldn't change is the mess. The best thing about this desk is that I am not afraid to ruin it. I could spill glue or paint on it. I can scratch it with a knife. It does not hold me back. I am a hurricane with everything that I do. When I wash dishes, I get water everywhere. When I paint, I spill paint everywhere. I need my workspace to not feel sacred so that I feel comfortable making mistakes, because that's really important to me. If a pristine workspace makes you feel inspired, then go with that. This is your workspace. Do what feels good for you. The drawers of your desk can be your greatest tool. They're like the utility belt of your workshop. Having your supplies within reach is essential for a good workflow, so I took the time to organize these drawers a bit. The drawers were really messy, so I cleaned them out, but I didn't change what was in them because I've actually refined that over the years I've been working in this space. Pay attention to where you place things as you work. If you find yourself putting something down in the same place, make that its permanent home. Keep refining that process until you know where everything is and all of your most common tools are within reach. Let me take you on a little drawer tour. Do you want the drawer tour? Let me show you what all of my drawers are for. My main drawer is the key to my space's versatility. If I want to illustrate, my tablet is in there. If I'm playing D&D, all my D&D stuff is in there. I have a few miscellaneous bits in there, as well as a couple of tools like erasers and a crystal to amplify my magical power. I'm right-handed. In my top right drawer are some of my most used tools. My glue gun, my rotary tool, and my jeweler's saw are in this drawer. In my left top drawer are all of my glues. Hot glue, super glue, and Mod Podge are always within reach. The way my brain works is that the next few drawers don't really exist, so they're less important. Middle right has all of my flocking materials, including my static grass applicator, and middle left has all of my cheap craft paint. And these bottom drawers I almost never use. The right one has paper and the left one has stationary things. Even though I don't use them that often, I took the time to organize them, and this was really satisfying because they were really stressful to look at. I like to keep a lot of my tools and materials in cups, so one day I dumped them all out onto the floor and I reorganized them in a way that made more sense. This took an entire day. The thing about organizing is that sometimes the task that takes the longest is the one that is least satisfying visually. So I'm gonna make you look at all of my organized cups. Look at them all. I asked Instagram what their studio essentials were, and a lot of people affirmed the thesis of this whole video, which is that it's really important to carve yourself out a little space to work in. A lot of people, including White Star Minis, mentioned the need for good lighting. That is something that I am actively working on. Currently, I am being lit by a floor lamp covered in paper. Knowing that's something that I can definitely improve, I started looking on Facebook Marketplace for some lighting solutions. Update: while editing this video, I actually went and got this light, and it's pretty sweet. Louise from Rogue Hobbies suggested a heated blanket or something cozy, and Zambies suggested having snacks, and I think this is actually important to making your space a place you want to be in. And Goblin Girl Studio suggested having a clear desk, which leads me to a good point. You should clean and reorganize your studio from time to time. It's about treating your space with respect. And on that note, I think it's important to call your space a studio, even if it's just a corner of your room. Also, maybe controversially, I think more people should call themselves artists. Most hobbies are just art, and you should give it the respect it deserves by calling it art. Just because a space doesn't fit your romantic idea of what a studio should look like, doesn't mean you can't call it that. Saying I'm gonna go work in my studio makes you feel legit, and it helps contribute to gaining confidence as an artist. If the word studio makes you feel stuffy and tense, call it a workshop, call it the art zone, call it Fort Tender, whatever makes you happy to refer to it. Referring to the space with anything less than pride will undercut yourself and your work and contribute to creating a space that you don't feel proud to be in. And that's bad. Now let's talk about aesthetics a little bit. This is really important and something that I have overlooked in the past. I used to think that I didn't care what my space looked like, so I would literally fill my space with garbage and empty beer bottles, and that was bad. It's important to make your studio a space you want to be in, and this includes adding things like speakers or a screen if you like to watch TV while you work. I am always watching anime when I work, and it's important to consider where I'm going to do that when it comes to making my workspace. It's dumb, but watching anime helps me focus and keeps me working longer. Like I said earlier, in my ideal studio, I would be surrounded by weird things, and currently, that's my mini shelf. If you want to see how I made this shelf to display my minis, I made a whole video about it. Right here. You can watch that later. Keep watching this one. Displaying all the cool things I've made reminds me that I'm not actually bad at making things, and it inspires me to be more creative. So I hung up a couple of my old paintings, a bunch of art from friends that I've collected over the years, and the thing that I see most are the stickers from all of my friends that I've met at conventions. Seeing this makes me happy. It makes my hobby space feel like it's grounded in the community, and plus having a white wall behind me would drive me crazy. I need visual chaos and anime to keep me working, but you might be the total opposite. What is the opposite of chaos and anime? And again, even if you're working in a space like a closet, you can still make that feel cozy. Put fairy lights up and make it feel like a blanket fort. That would inspire me to be creative. There are a few things that I keep on my desk at all times, my main hobby tools, and whatever I'm working on. Over the last few days, whenever I've gotten a free second, I've found myself reaching for the project, working on it for a couple of minutes, and that is exactly what this space is all about. If your space inspires you to pick up a project and work on it for a couple of minutes, you might work on it for hours. If it takes a couple of minutes to set up your stuff, you might not work at all. For the most part, I would suggest having your tools and projects out at all times. That isn't really possible for me because I use this space to do so many things. When I edit or illustrate or play D&D, my space looks like this. When I'm crafting, my space looks like this. My computer usually has reference images, and my monitor usually has anime. It always has anime. When I need to pay rent, I put down my drop cloth, get out my glass palette, my oil paints, and my easel, and within a few minutes, I'm ready to go. I've collected a lot of things over the years, but most of them didn't cost money. I just want to assure you that money is not your issue. Basically everything in this studio was free. I made this shelf myself, this desk came from my childhood home, I stole that easel from my last studio. The only things I really bought were this monitor and this shelf. The monitor was $20 off Facebook Marketplace, and the shelf was $50 new, and I know you can get a cheaper one than that. I suggest making friends with someone who has access to a car, and tell people that you're looking to set up a little studio space for yourself, and I guarantee people will jump at the opportunity to get rid of their furniture. Lastly, privacy is really nice, but not necessary. My studio is a bit tucked away, and I don't see it as I move throughout my apartment, and I think this is important. It helps me separate my life from my art, which I'm really bad at. But this sense of separation can be made with one of those room dividers, or setting up a shelf so that it blocks off the rest of the room. Making the space feel like its own little zone is nice because it makes it feel like you're going to your studio, even if it's just across the room. I hope this helped inspire some of you to create a studio space of your own, but don't put too much pressure on this project. Making a space that's just a desk and a couple of posters can make a big difference when it comes to making art. As someone who's worked in a lot of spaces, this is the best space I've ever made, and it's made a big difference on my work. That's all I got for now. If you like the video, please consider subscribing, and if you want to help support the channel, you can head over to my Patreon. My patrons literally help keep the lights on in here, and I cannot thank them enough. This video was a bit different. Let me know if you liked it, and as always, let me know what you want to see me make next time. Bye!